Welcome to FHS Podcast. In this episode of the FHS Egypt podcast, we are joined by Mohammed Zaghloul, board member and VP of Hospitality Development and International Expansion at Egyptian Engineers Group, Zaghloul Holding. With a career spanning construction management, commercial property, and hospitality development, Mohammed leads the group's international expansion strategy and brings sharp owner-side perspective to Egypt's growing hospitality market. Welcome, Mohammed. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Daya, for the beautiful introduction. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast, and I hope it can be educational and entertaining to your guests.
Absolutely. Well, Egypt is on fire. There's lots of interest in the market, so I'm sure there's going to be lots of interesting nuggets that we get out of this conversation. And what a fantastic organization to have this conversation with. Zaghloul Holding has been developing real estate and hospitality assets in Egypt since, what is it, 1940?
Yes.
Over 80 years in the market. I'm sure you've seen as organization a lot of development. And how has this investment landscape changed over that time? What does today's opportunity look like compared to, previous cycles?
It's essentially what we're seeing in the market is what's always an evolutionary trait. So Zaghloul started, Egyptian Engineers Group started as a family business started by an entrepreneur in the 1940s. And he was building small buildings with shops at the bottom which basically the ground floor, the mezzanine. And after a while, he started to have a building becomes two, becomes three, becomes four, and then you start having retail. And from retail, you start having a passive income. And then passive income becomes the idea. What if you don't sell the real estate? What if you maintain the real estate? You get the appreciation of the asset, and you start using it for more activities, which actually essentially is the cornerstone or how you maintain a workforce. So this was the evolution that later, in the beginning of the 2000s, that led us to having our first entry into the hospitality business, which was a resort in Hurghada. And then we had an opportunity to exit that property. And now we have, as of this week, we have almost 1,000 keys operating in Cairo within the airport area. We believe that this cycle is immensely exciting for the development of these properties. Now we are getting an opportunity to work more on the service side of the industry. We're getting to work more on the soft side of the industry, not only the concrete and the ID and the architecture. We're actually looking into giving the guests a higher level of experience, a more diverse level of experience. And I guess we will be talking a lot about this within the coming questions. But now we're seeing that the entertainment, the F&B, basically the experience of guiding more the guest than just the room or the pool or the gym. This year, one of the biggest champions of the Egyptian tourism has been the Gem Museum, which opened at the end of last year, and it has been an amazing push for us. And the Sahara platform in the pyramids, the entertainment activities going there, the brands that are actually wanting to launch their new seasons or their new products on the pyramids, all of this is bringing essentially a new cycle of where we are competing for the first time, not in terms of construction, but we are competing in terms of experience.
Well, you mentioned about that sort of transition from uh, retail almost into that hospitality space, and if I'm not mistaken, you were among the first developers to introduce the modern shopping mall concept in Cairo as well. Um, how experience of pioneering a new asset class inform how you approach emerging hospitality opportunities in Egypt today?
Well, this is one of these things where we cannot we work on an idea and it takes us a little bit of time to get it to where it it can go out to public. And when in the begin, maybe mid 90s, when we had the first opportunity to develop a mall in Egypt, there were certain aspects like the weather is a little bit hot in Cairo. So if you have a shopping destination where the AC is always there and people can operate throughout the day, it will help a little bit more or gain a little bit more in terms of time of revenue. Um, when we went into hospitality, we had the evolution trip of all the brands and all the developers where we concentrated heavily on the ID and on the architecture. And then over time, we are now we are now looking more and more into the service aspect and the experience aspect. And we've done with this with our properties in Cairo by collaborating with a lot of local and international F&B brands, by bringing in sub operators to give us maybe a small experience in the bar or the or experience in the gym, where they have know-how that is very guest-centric that we as developers cannot really deliver.
Mhm.
And this is now where our most of our how can I say this, our planning and our thinking is going to. So now I think the science behind building a good room is already there, between the hotels following a Six Sigma, the hotel brands following a Six Sigma approach and a Human Sigma approach. So now we cannot really invent a lot more in the room. So experience is the name of the game now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, your hospitality portfolio spans more than 4,000 five-star hotel rooms across Cairo, Hurghada, I believe, some other destinations. They are operated under Radisson Blue. What was the strategic thinking behind partnering specifically with international brands rather than perhaps operating independently?
Um, I think it's a proven method of success that if you have the right partners on board, you are able to deliver much better experience and much better product. We have had a very stable relationship. We're in the process of renewing one of our biggest contracts with Radisson now. So we did 15 years, and we're in discussions now to add more to that timeline. We have 1,000 rooms operating out of the 4,000. We have 3,000 in the pipeline. We believe we're going to be reaching 70% operational pipeline within the next 20 months. And having a partner um, with an international mindset and are heavily exposed through different markets, through different cultures, helps us a lot in understanding which client do we want to meet, how are we going to, what needs they need to be. Sometimes it's as simple as having Arabian coffee if you have a GCC client, or if you have an American client, you need to adjust a little bit of your breakfast. All of this is sometimes they can be very fine details, and sometimes they can be very big details. Or you have Chinese-based tourists, and they want to have their own cuisine, or they want to have their own types of breakfast. All of this and all of this acts as a major bridge when you have an international brand, because they have already the SOPs in place. They have their their name recognition, which is a very big component in selling, is already there. So it helps a lot in collaborating all of this to making sure that the experience is seamless. At the end of the day, we all work in the service industry.
Egypt is currently experiencing probably its strongest period of that hotel demand growth on record. Any conversation I've been having has been all about Egypt, what's happening in the market there. And I believe it's ranked number 8 globally now. If we're looking at last year specifically, and I'm sure that will continue to grow. As a long-standing owner in this market, how do you read this current cycle? Is the market actually delivering on its potential?
Um, I think the market has a lot of space to grow. I think the Egyptian government came out of COVID with an idea that we can do a lot more towards the tourism sector. We started by placing ourselves and encouraging the branding that Egypt is massively safe. Egypt is a very diverse destination where you can get heritage travel, where you can get um, um, when you can get leisure travel and you can get beach travel. All of this is we are. I think this is the first real push towards having Egypt as a placed in its right vicinity of a travel and a vacation destination. I think we're definitely this is we will be delivering much more. I think we're not. This is not the cap. I think we have a lot of way to go.
Well, I hear sort of some hesitation there as well. I'd imagine there are certain challenges as well that needs to be addressing. What do you think are those biggest challenges that need to be looked at to really unlock that full potential of this market?
In terms of growth, I think what we're looking at is the challenges that are going to be in our way. Some of them are being tackled as we go, and some of them have already been in the plan, and we can see where we're heading. So one of the things is we've always had a very busy airport, but the airport needed a higher level of service and more better guest experience in the airport. And the Egyptian government actually mandated a lot of work towards this area, and we've already seen fruits of these works. And I think the next couple of years, with airport expansion, with better service, with more technology advancement, and especially in entry, I think all of this will be much more seamless and much more better. Our next mandate will be the amount of carriers that Egypt Air, or actually, if we need to add more international carriers, I think this will be our main mandate, pushing more space for air carriers to come in. I think this is like the bottleneck in the pipeline now. So everything else, every part of the experience, there has been massive development and driven by the government, driven by private operators. But now we're seeing that without an increase in flights, without increase in basically chair capacity, this will be the bottleneck.
Yeah.
But as we were talking about potential, we still have untapped tourism segments we haven't even touched. We have two on the rise now, medical and ecotourism. They are
Hmm.
very small in terms of what can Egypt deliver in these areas. And
What what
then
excites what excites you about this?
um, I'm I'm an engineer by trade, so anything that is untapped or unutilized always excites me. So the numbers in medical tourism and ecotourism are actually very low, and I think we have a lot of space to go in these areas. The destinations are there, the infrastructure is there. It's a matter of just having the right marketing and having the right approach for them. And worldwide, ecotourism is gaining a lot. Africa has done tremendous work in this area, and I think we're going to be definitely on a on a proper footing for it.
Exciting. Well, let's look at various destinations as well. You know, Egypt is big and there are so many different destinations as well. Um, Red Sea, North Coast, lots going on there, Greater Cairo. Where do you see, I guess, the most compelling long-term investment opportunity and why?
Uh, I think I might be a little bit biased to Cairo when answering this question. Cairo comes with a lot of segments. When we're talking about Hurghada and Sharm and North Coast, and they are beautiful destinations, but they rely mostly on leisure as a
Hmm.
guest. So vacation travelers, family vacations, and all of this is amazing and great. But when you're working in Cairo, we do leisure, we do meetings, we do shipping, we do on any given day. I can give you eight, nine different segments working, and they are, and it's always an amazing thing to do because you get to work with all these segments. You get to exchange the segments when needed. They if there is a slowdown because of seasonality, someone else is going to cover it, a certain other segment. So I'm always going to be a Cairo answer for this. So, but definitely, we have a massive pipeline on the Red Sea, and we can see the numbers, and the numbers are great. And they're always opening new destination. They're opening new destinations to have flights from. So they're all good, but I would always answer Cairo because of the segmentation.
And I guess that sort of diversification opportunity as well. And Zaglu Holding, you guys operate across what, residential and commercial and hospitality. How do you, approach capital allocation across those three sectors? And I guess what's driving your hospitality focus specifically?
Over the last 15 years, we've managed to slow down a little bit in our residential expansion. We've had the opportunity and to be one of the first uh, companies to have closed or gated communities in Egypt, in several places in Cairo. And in 1994 and 1995. But the last 15 years, we've concentrated on commercial properties and hospitality. And this was driven by that a lot of residential expansion has been happening, but it was always underserviced. So
Mhm.
we would be the first people in certain areas to have commercial infrastructure ready for leasing. And this was our approach. So already the demand was there. We were managing the how we can approach the demand and how we can better service the demand. For the hospitality aspect, it's once we were able to find a good balanced relationship between developer operator and between our own identity as developers in terms of the experience, how can we use the commercial experience we have into bridging it with the hospitality. Once we were able to find this mix, hospitality became the go-to basically investment we can do. It's actually one of the toughest in the real estate sector at them, because you cannot sell off plan. You can everything basically has to be fully invested from your side before even the first
Yeah.
guest can go in. But it's very rewarding in terms of asset appreciation. It's as long as you have the right formula for yourself, you can actually grow the business. You can actually have the right financial rewards for it. And once you evolve and find the best footing for you in terms of how am I going to introduce myself as a user unique experience in this market or in the Red Sea or in that area, then you can actually have a very smooth train ride where you keep growing slowly but surely in that industry.
You love your approach. I think, you would be the perfect organization and person to then give the, that advice for, for a developer or investor that entering Egypt's hospitality market, perhaps for the first time. What would be, your words? What would be your advice?
I think any investor coming from outside, and this is something we always face in doing an international investment, is coming into Egypt or coming into Middle East in general, situational and operational awareness is a very high. So Egypt has proven time and time and time that we are a stable country. Our infrastructure is quite stable, but that does not mean there will not be operational disturbances. They can be of any kind. If you're as we are today in the Middle East, where we have the Strait of Hormuz blocked, some of the segmentations of the shipping are on pause, and they do affect the occupancy. But at the end of the day, if you have the right situational awareness, okay, we have other segments we can work on. We can avoid the downfall from here. We can actually increase our occupancy a little bit and go down on the rate. And this is everywhere. If I'm investing in the US, there is situational operational awareness. If I'm investing in Europe, it's the same thing. If the energy cost in Europe or every certain area comes with its own let's say maneuverable I think the best word for it is probably maneuverable doors. You just need to have the right awareness for it. But Egypt in itself, we're very lucky because our destinations actually, for some reason, act as different countries. So if you're having a slowdown in Cairo, Hurghada and Sharm, they're not affected by that. If you're having in the Red Sea, and if the Red Sea is for some reason, sometimes in the summer, they get a little bit of slowdown because it gets a little the North Coast. The weather is amazing. And you find the occupancy there. So the best hedge in Egypt is actually to have several properties in several areas.
Well, that's a perfect advice. I think I love it. Well, if we zoom out a little bit, there's 46 about that hotel rooms across 185 projects currently in Egypt's development pipeline. How do you assess this market's ability to, I guess, they absorb the new supply without impacting the performance overall? It's lots of rooms.
Um, Egypt, Egypt started a very nice program over the last 2 years. We had the holiday homes program where people are able to use their unutilized real estate, residential assets by putting them back in the system. And this is done through the Egyptian Tourism and Antiquities Ministry. And we have also a pipeline of hotels that's opening from private sector, from the private public sector. By 2030, we're expecting to double almost our rooms. And this comes back to flight capacity. This is the bottleneck we're always going to go back and forth. I know for a fact that the government is heavily working on this. I know that even there are private players coming in with more flight capacity. I think this is the most addressable issue, and I think everybody knows it. We've been talking about it for a very long time, and there is massive motion in this area. There has been a direction already mandated towards increasing or enhancing the level of experience where visitors are coming in, which is basically the airports, where we want to see a very good enhancement. We've seen enhancement in the touristic areas where visitors are coming in, where sometimes it was a little bit disorganized, or sometimes because of the traffic, some people come in a lot in the morning. So all of this is already being managed. Now, summing everything up, the bottleneck we're seeing is the flight capacity.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of anything that we not covered today, something that potentially worth bringing up to the attention to our network and anyone listening and interested in Egypt as the investment destination, what any final words that you'd like to share, or moments you'd like to bring up?
I think going back to the investment question, we've had over the last couple of years, we've actually managed to attract a lot of FDI inside the tourism sector and real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back at it, I think it's one of these things where it's a rival blessing. Having a competition from outside, or having a rival from coming in with a new perspective and their own experience, and the investors are very well established. It makes us as local operators push for better potential. It makes the competition on a little higher level that pushes us to grow, and gives Egypt the right validation. And there has been ADQ is here. We've had the Qatari Investment Association. They had through their real estate arm had a very, very nice investment in North Coast. They're launched this year, and I think there will be a lot more in this area, and I think this will affect the market positively. It will make the market more aware to what's happening internationally. It will push us to better the experience for the coming guests and for the coming visitors. And within the next couple of years, the target for the 2030 target that you talked about is definitely going to be in reach in terms of visitors and in terms of room count.
Fantastic. Well, you sort of touched upon on that foreign investment coming in, and I'd say a significant part of that also coming from, Gulf capital, and we've seen so much development within that space. ADQ's 35 billion commitment to Russell Hamer, Alda, Modon, and others. You guys, a domestic owner and investor, how do you see this uh, Gulf capital inflow? Is it a good thing? From what you sort of mentioned just a minute ago, it sounds like it should be a good thing, but would love your words on that.
It's definitely a very good thing. The players coming in are extremely established and well experienced in their work. They can only push the market forward, and they're one of the things we've seen with Ras Al Hikmah. The first thing they concentrated on was the experience and the service, and they got Namos from Dubai, which was a very big stepping stone in this area. Um, as we started, the experience is going to be the name of the game for all of us, and they have a very good know-how. So we just need to keep up.
Absolutely. Well, exciting times for Egypt, exciting time for Zaghloul as well. We're looking forward to seeing all those developments and that progress in the next coming years, and looking forward to welcoming you as well to the inaugural FHS Egypt late in November. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining this podcast, and looking forward to connecting you across our events.
Thank you, Daya. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.